We were on mute again.
That was glorious, though.
Da-dun, da-dun. No, I'm not going to do it again. Everyone misses out on that. God, hello, for you all. Just to let you know, I just acapella the intro to "Blind" by Korn.
He did.
For our intro music. My name is John Baltusberger.
I am Charles R. Bernard, and to explain, for some reason, the band Korn follows our account on Twitter.
Because I'm amazing.
Yeah,
and
that's
also
right.
a Korn fan since
And Ian,
since
who
the
are
first
you?
album. Yeah.
Ian's the boss.
And Chuckles. I decided Chuckles is more on brand for the podcast than Chuck. Is that okay?
Well, I'm the one wearing
That's
the fucking
fine.
clown
I'll
shirt.
go with it.
I mean, I feel like my identity is being hijacked here.
It
So.
is.
If this were yesterday, we could have both been wearing clown
Oh,
shirts.
so good.
I am uncomfortable. Hello and welcome to Wandering Monster, the monster manual of podcasts, and also America's Test Table. Why are we America's Test Table, you may ask? It is because we have taken on ourselves the sacred mission of playing the games that are upcoming, freshly out, or are indie and small that you may have missed, seeing how they play, being complete jackasses while we do so, and then reporting back to you, the viewer or listener, what it was like. So in a few minutes, we're going to dive into talking about last week's game of Morkbor. But before that, as is our wont, we are going to talk about some of the upcoming projects that are on crowdfunding, so you can kind of know what's up and what looks cool. First and foremost, Bog Wizard versus Frog Lord, the album A Frog in the Bog, is going on pre-order on Friday. Full disclosure, so Bog Wizard actually supplies our intro music, Barbaria, off the album Purple Miasmic Fog. Bog Wizard versus Frog Lord. I was able to attain an early review copy by lying through my teeth and telling them that I worked for Stranger with Friction and would write a review. I mean, I will do those things, but
yeah,
I'm writing music reviews for them because I lied. Dude, this album slays. There's a like 5-minute part that's just chanting "Bow down to the power of the Frog Lord," and it's a banger. So anyway, it's going to be up for pre-order in a few days. Check it out; it looks amazing.
If you like stoner doom that's been dragged through like a muddy bog, it has things crawling on it and partially growing out of it, sonically speaking. Yeah, excellent band.
Yeah, no, this will be next. This is kind of a self-insert. There's a game on Kickstarter right now called Liminal. Liminal _. It is a game in which you and 2 other people at least. It's a TTRPG. You go through a endless maze of randomly generated rooms and corridors, with each room devised by a different writer, game designer, and I'm all at Twitter. This just happened tonight. I am one of those writers. What happened is I found this game on Kickstarter, and I was like, man, this looks amazing. I'm going to back this. Backed it, looked down, goes going down the list of names. It's like, oh man, Johan Noor from Morkbor is doing this. Oh, Kevin from Forbidden Psalm is doing this. Oh, writers too. Danger Slate. I'm friends with Danger. Is that? Oh shit, Kevin's in this. Oh, Tom's in this. Ben R. Zate, who's a Madness Heart Press author, is in this. So I messaged Ben and was like, hey, can I get in on this? And he messaged the creator, and the creator messaged me and was like, yes, come aboard, enjoy. Go look this up on Kickstarter. It looks amazing, and having now gotten a peek behind the curtain, it just looks incredible. I've invited them to maybe try to come and run a game for us. So hopefully that will happen if they can make time. It looks super duper cool, and I really want to play this thing.
It looks like the Backrooms meets Mothership.
Yeah, it's non-violent. Like there is no you are in danger, but you cannot combat the danger. So I'm really
it's
excited.
A game of exploration, kind of
Exploration, and I think maybe claustrophobic panic, but also with like old school graph paper map making, which sounds super baller.
I hope that when we do our breakdown of today's Morkbor, you show everyone your map.
I may have deleted my map.
What?
It still exists on our.
It still exists. It's on our social media.
On our Twitter account, I posted it, and I still have the picture somewhere.
Good.
So
yeah,
if you want it for framing, I have it available.
I mean, blow it up. I got this whole section of wall.
We'll save that. Save that.
Save that. We should have it be like the characters that have fallen in the line of duty of testing America, the world's RPGs.
Even when I'm not a guest, just send me the information. Goes there.
Ian, do you want to talk about Grok?
Yeah, so Grok is something that there's 3 days left in the pledge. It's something I've kind of come into. It's almost like a mix of a lot of modern games that kind of moves away from some of the more typical mechanics, and it's almost like it's like an ascending die section where it's failure focused or failure front. So the mechanisms of the game are very much dependent on what your intentions are, what you want to have happen, and what you do to make that happen. And it has a really neat whimsical art that reminds me a lot of like the whimsy of Troika plus a lot of the goodness of like weird gonzo OSR. So I'm really excited to see
I was actually going to compare the art to the the Fabulous Freak Brothers, like those 60s comic books about smoking weed.
Was that art, Crumb?
Yeah.
I used to read the Fabulous Freak Brothers. Weird story. My my junior high school library had this big book about comic books in it that they obviously hadn't read because it was full of like R. Crumb stuff and like heavy metal stuff and like just fucking dope as shit. Yeah, and
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So what's really fun too are just like starting equipment that people start off with. There's a random table that you can look at on the Kickstarter preview, but you can get a textbook on pseudophysics to a inflatable raft to rocket boots. The things that are just very vaguely described that just will lend itself to lots of player mayhem. So I'm really excited to see what comes of that and get the whole thing. So again, you can kick it for $1, or you can get the beautiful color version printed for you and sent to you for $10. But there was recently a stretch goal where they will now have a black and white line version of all the fancy art so you can print it off yourself. So
nice.
Just something fun that I think might be neat to run in the future at the table.
Awesome. Totally. Yeah. I'm going to put you on the spot again. Tell us about Valley of Forbidden Churches.
So Churches is neat. It's written by Dan Comstock, and I met him through the Morkbor group. And so kind of as self-disclosure, I did play testing and editing for the module, and it's really neat. It's kind of almost like 3 different modules in one. There's a sandbox that's out in this valley in Morkbor where it's a desolate valley that is there are legionnaires that kind of try to keep the peace there, but through extreme violence. There are churches that have vestiges of like weird cultists or weird things. There's a weird wizard's tower in the far distance that's some type of like horn protruding out of the ground. But the module really picks up once you get under some of the churches or under like the Great Tower. There is a network of tunnels that were burrowed out by this demon worm. And that's what I think is one of the most fun parts about this module supplement campaign thing is procedurally generated tunnel encounters. So rolling on that as a GM was extremely fun, real lightweight and easy. And some of the best Morkborg moments I've had have been you're being chased by this giant demon worm that'll basically consume you if he catches it, but there's cultists and weird things down there. And then lastly, under it all, there is a forgotten city that is very much designed in the art of like Bosch. So if you like really weird gonzo stuff, like weird creatures playing like a almost like checkers that decides the fate of the world, check it out. It's a lot of very weird goodness. So it takes a little bit less of the grimdark out of Morkborg and puts it more into the surreal weirdness once you break the world's crust. So,
This isn't super well known about me, but because people think of me and they're like, oh yeah, John, he runs a splatterpunk company, and most of this stuff is very gritty and ultra violent, and he's super horror and grimdark. I love surrealism and absurdism. It's like some of my favorite stuff. So I'm definitely interested. The last thing we're going to talk about before we get into last week's game is a little game called Morkbor. No, what shit? I've done fucked it all up, guys.
we're docking us out of your salary.
Son of a. Wait a second. I pay the salary. Shit.
You guys get paid?
No. Like, look. I have a friend. We have a friend of the show, Max Booth. I've been a publisher for about 3 years now. Max has been doing this for over 10, going on 11 years as a publisher. He cut himself his first paycheck last month. I hope to be better at business than him, but yeah, no one's getting paid. Don't worry. So me least of all.
Actually, that's worth pointing out, just since I know that we're reaching out to a lot of creators, and there was a question whether or not we are charging for any of our reviews or our funding. But we're all doing this for the sake of our consumers, that you may find out what are great things to try out and to support great independent content creators. So yeah,
we want to have fun,
ladies and gents.
We want to have fun. We want to help creators. We want to build we want to be part of the community. We will never charge anyone for playing their games. We will never charge anyone for an interview. We will never charge anyone for a shout out. That is not who we are. We are literally doing this because we love it. So yeah, great point, Ian. Thank you. So on the screen right now, I guess fuck you, Charles, Ian, and Chuckles, who can't see my screen, is the brand new map for the Numinous Brutality quick play rules that are dropping in 2 weeks. In the middle, you can see this terrible bog with the Temple of Gloam's Respite. To the lower left, you see the Jagged Wood, the cities of Shumata's Reach and Toral Call. You see Deadstone Reservoir, which is the lake at the top that feeds into the bog beneath, and a dead wood surrounded, a fallen tower, which is actually a skyscraper that is surrounded by dead woods called Esther's Folly. So this is the battlefield. This is the setting for the quick play rules, but this is only a tiny smidgen of the full world map, which I handed off to Luke Spooner this evening. So it's going to be crazy. It's going to be amazing, and we're looking forward to everyone playing it and telling me what they think.
I'm looking at later this month for doing our first live play.
Yes.
Plug that.
Now what I might do is I might fuck off for that, because I'm the lead design guy, and I might just give it to you, Ian, to run. Let Charles, maybe Chuckles, maybe someone else be players, so that everyone's kind of new to it, and we can kind of see how a playthrough of something that's completely untested plays. Without the designer there to explain it, because ideally I won't have to explain in person to everyone who wants to play the game how it works. That's the dream.
Yeah, I'd be
Just
down for that. I
imagining-
mean, I think it's just that John doesn't want to get his feelies hurt if we, stumble across something in his
Oh,
game that we don't
I'll have
like.
to be there because I'll be the one recording it and streaming it. I just won't get to yell at you. My feelings.
The
will be
ideal
very
situation.
hurt.
Yeah.
My feelings will be very hurt if I receive even the slightest criticism. Actually, funny story from the game design. One of our game designers who's working on Numinous Brutality is Joel Clark, who we of course met through Tian Shang, the Kung Fu game.
Mm-hmm.
And we were talking, and I was kind of telling him my vision of a certain aspect, and he's like, "Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that's been done a whole lot, and it always sucks. Yeah." And I was like, I was crushed. So we had to look at different ways of doing things than I had hoped, because apparently what I wanted to do was very cliche and stupid.
I flat out reject that argument most of the time. Like, a talented team with like a vision can take any worn out or seemingly worn out trope or whatever and make it extremely, alive and new, in my opinion.
We didn't throw out my idea, but we altered it to use it in a way that would engender play as opposed to hamper it.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm very happy with what we came up with, but like
Cool.
at the time I could physically feel the wind leaving my sails. Okay. I'm leaving the Numinous Brutality cover up there. If you are curious about Numinous Brutality and what the news is, you can go to madnessheart.press, click on the Madness Heart Games icon, and then follow those links all the way to the Numinous Brutality.
Or better yet, you can go to tinyurl.com, Numinous Brutality, capital N, capital B, and that'll get you right to the screen that has our newsletter sign up on it.
Charles is much smarter than me, so do that. Okay.
I doubt that very much.
I'm done talking about all the cool shit coming out. Let's talk about the cool shit we already did.
Yeah. Breakout Star was an NPC, like my NPC.
Hamford
my
the Squire.
NPC. Yes, yeah. I'm gonna keep that character because that was just like so much fucking fun, and I'm fond of imaginary ham now. So
Oh yeah. I always feel like, especially in a game like Morkbor where we do like tons of one shots.
yeah,
I feel like you keep a character until they die, right?
Yeah.
Like if somehow Jeb and Ham, you'll die, but Ham will survive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If somehow they survive,
The next of kin inherits Ham, and you have to play as like your cousin.
I love that.
yeah.
Ham, actually, it should be Ham ascends to the throne because you're just this wretched royalty. So like it just becomes like a section of just the Hamford family.
Yeah, I love it because it's such a fallen it'd just be like him sitting on a broken ass throne in an empty house. Like,
There was part of me at the very end just for kind of making things more succinct, as having Ham like end up like serving the terrible entity below and bringing on the apocalypse that much faster. But I still like Ham as a flawed but wonderfully tragic hero. So
yeah,
I've
cowardly
played
and greedy, great combo.
I played in a D&D game as a one shot. Like they would occasionally invite me to be a guest, and I had a character. And at the end of the first campaign, like there was this entity. It wasn't an evil entity, but they were like, "If you want, you can come serve me in the forest," to the players. And the players were like, "No, we have the quest." And my character was like, "Serve you in the forest, you say?" Because like I know I'm fucking off back home at the end of this game. I'm not going to be back for a year and a half.
Yep.
Why not live in the forest and wear a loincloth?
my introduction to DCC, I got to play the wonderful Brendan LaSalle, and I had a chaos, like an elf whose alignment was chaos, and the campaign ended with like do you want to betray all of your party and serve like at a great old one? And I'm like, fuck yeah, of course, yes,
That's excuse me, that's all I want.
right?
Everyone's
Yeah.
dream.
Do you even
Um,
have to ask?
Okay, so fuck me and Chuckles. We've played Morkbor before. I mean, don't literally have sex with me and Chuckles. I'm married.
I mean, so am I. I mean,
Okay,
I got
well,
nothing.
maybe have sex. Maybe have sex.
I
But
know that my wife was like watching last time, so there
she
was
is
one
she is
person
not
out
watching
there.
this time. It is
Oh.
just you and me, buddy.
I can hear like
well.
that TV rating box go from like R to like M to X to
We
AO.
lost any
headed in the
goodwill with the
correct
rating
direction.
system years ago.
Yeah.
Charles and I ruined that relationship with the
We
FCC,
very much
unfortunately.
did, yeah. Thoroughly. Yeah.
We've spent a lot of time talking about fluids.
Of various types, yeah.
So what I'm really curious about is, Charles, from a player perspective, with the mechanics, how did it feel to just kind of get dropped into this game with nothing more than a character sheet and a one sheet rule thing?
I really enjoyed it. I thought that Ian did a fantastic job as GM. I enjoyed the corpse P. That was a wonderfully the non-reflecting heads and that was just great creepy, touches to it. So I very much enjoyed it. I thought that it not being too crunchy was a plus, So
I have mixed emotions towards crunch. There's a game I have called Irredeemable, in which you play kind of roguish kung fu heroes, and there's no crunch, none. The first time I ran it, a couple of the players got angry at each other and were like, "Okay, we're gonna have a kung fu duel," which if you're in a kung fu game, you need to be able to have a kung fu duel. That's, I think, maybe the bare minimum.
Yeah.
And I could not figure out how to do that because in that system, the entire group has a bag with colored marbles in it, and whenever you try to do something, you draw a marble from the bag, and if you draw a blue marble, something good happens. If you draw a black marble, something bad happens.
Well, that's kind of cool.
It's very cool. It's a super cool mechanic. It's just not great for
combat. Yeah.
It's not great for PvP combat. And it's not satisfying in a lot of ways. It's a cool game, though. I'm not knocking it. It wasn't what I thought it was going to be, and I needed more crunch. On the other hand, there's a game called Shard, which is about anthropomorphic animal people doing kung fu in a magical land of crystals and bug demons.
I think we've talked about that on the show before, or you brought it to the show before.
Yeah. It's super cool. The art's baller. It looks great, but man, you need to know calculus to run combat.
Nope.
Actually, calculus-based combat, that might be kind of dope. Actually, in a game.
Look, nerd.
I only ever made it to calculus A, and I bounced before calculus B. So
I took remedial math for theater majors.
Is that where you add up and do the relation between sexual partners in the drama department? Or
no, that was my cooking career.
Okay.
That was my chef license.
Chef life.
Nope. I'm glad I don't have that on my knuckles, by the way. That makes me happy. I do plan on getting my knuckles tattooed.
Me
I'm just
too. I've
happy-
been trying to figure out for many years.
I'm
I'll
not telling you what I'm
know-
getting. You'll steal it.
I'll know the right one when I find it. But yeah.
All right, Ian, what are you getting tattooed on your knuckles?
That's a good question. I would
So
need to think about that.
Do you have any tattooed? Do you have any ink?
None. You know, because I've always had
Wow.
that thing where I'm like, maybe I'll get a tattoo when I'm just a little bit less fat. And
Oh, no, you
I'm
can-
just like, I keep finding that no, I'm definitely just gonna be fat
I've gone
my
through
whole
the
life,
same
but
thing.
like,
Yeah.
there's still that like, but it'll look better if I'm like this many pounds less, and I should just
Look, I'm not going to turn my camera around, but I have a weight set right over there. And I realized something about myself. I could go work those. I could get guns. I'm like Ben Shapiro now. Like, yeah, I'm guns. I could get muscles. But what I like more than having muscles is pasta. And
Yes.
I'm a trained chef. And I can go make pasta any damn time. It's flour and water, guys. I can just do that.
What's even sadder is like more than being skinny, I like breakfast cereal. It's just like how things shook out for me, you know.
See, we could easily like derail this whole conversation and start going down this like rabbit hole of wholesomeness, because like I will say, like, I finally learned to, you know, it wasn't until my 30s that I learned to, you know, accept myself and the fact that I will always be a flawed human being and learn to make healthier
that
choices. But still, there's that bit of
Thanks,
maintenance,
Dad.
like, but you want to be a little bit less fat so the ink looks better.
Ian, look, I'm going to speak for myself, but I have a feeling some other people might agree with me. My secret is I cover up the fat parts with color.
You got me there.
Like,
That's right.
like, look, that's a beholder.
That's
That's a beholder. And up here, these are
explains
dice.
all my chest tats. Yeah.
See,
it's
I've
like-
always thought about having a dice
Look,
wrap.
chef
See, this is what our listeners
my
are
moves.
missing out on, are seeing exposed flesh. So you'll have to make sure that you rewatch this on YouTube
right.
so you see all of John's exposed chest.
Yeah,
He's
well,
all
Everything
oiled
you ever
up. And
wanted and
I'm
more.
all oiled up.
a little timestamp right there, so when they go to the YouTube video, they can
Yeah.
just click
Like,
right
oh,
on
Sean's
it.
titty.
Going back
how-
to knuckle tattoos.
Full frontal
um,
nudity now on Wandering Monster.
Oh, it wouldn't be the first time. It'd be the
yeah,
first time on
definitely not.
video, but
I was. Did I take off my shirt when we did the kaiju episode? Because I was very intoxicated for that.
I don't think you did. I would remember
Okay.
that.
You know,
But the knuckle tats thing. I know a guy who is both an MMA fighter, like an amateur MMA fighter, and a physics professor. And
That's
he
nice.
has the physics equation for force tattooed on his knuckles.
Oh, that's awesome.
I know, and I
Does
was
it-
like, that is
does it
the
help him
single
to hit
coolest-
harder?
Yes.
Like
It is a magic
That make a
spell.
cool like comic book or like game thing, but no, I think he just likes to hit people and likes numbers. So
That's very cool.
Well, linking
like the
back
number of
to
people
the
he's
top
hit.
of the
I don't-
thread, you could easily get Mork and Borg.
Yeah.
How
John, you
about
want a
Chuck?
permanent gig there? You got to prove yourself.
Chuckles, do you have any? You have any ink?
No, I just have never thought of anything where it's like, yeah, that I need the Legend of Zelda Triforce on my left nipple. I
fully would
Looks
have thought
good.
you would have
Sean's
gotten
got
some
this,
type of
yeah.
like Lynchian tattoo
I
somewhere.
mean,
that
I have Kirby. Like, I don't make good life choices, but I have great ink.
I just don't see why. I know that in 2022 I am like the odd person out where it's like, so tattoos. Yeah, I don't get it.
No,
don't
it's
think- Yeah, I
it's
don't
up
think
to
everyone has
everyone
to not get.
to do their own thing. Like my tattoos are kind of themed, I guess, because all of them except for one are occult or satanic. That one being my like cool death bee and death orchid there, but
He hasn't noticed my face on his left buttock.
that's right.
Which
yeah.
I guess that could kind of be a satanic tattoo.
Yeah, I mean, after you had left that tattoo, I went back around myself and added goat horns and like
Nice.
longer
So
beard.
it's just a demon.
It is
It's
with,
just
with
me as a
John's
demon.
face. Yeah,
Um,
John's face. I
guess
mean, I
that
guess
means
it could be
That
Guy
takes it to a
Fieri.
new
but-
never level of like as above, so below, huh?
Yeah, my man. I like that one. It's good.
It's the 69 of infernalism.
That's right. That's right.
So, you have to be careful because eventually Manus Heart Press will spill to the size of a cult, and we'll be getting Manus Heart Press or Manus Heart Games tattoos.
Man, there have been smaller cults out there. Trust me.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Already
we've outdone
people have
some,
started getting godless horror tattoos, and
which is cool.
It's cool. Okay, it's
Yeah.
very cool that they're getting it because it's about the community. It's about the whole genre.
Right.
But on the other hand, I know how Drew makes those logos, and I know that specific logo was stock art that he used, and so like that feels like that's a piece of stock art. But at the same time, like that's what Flash is, so maybe I should just fuck off with that.
Every tattoo
Oh.
I have, except for there are two of them that were specific designs that I wanted that for like occult reasons, but the rest of them are like original art by the tattoo artist, like for me specifically.
Yeah.
Which I kind of like insist on because I am a pretentious dick, I guess.
No, I tell my tattoo artist like, hey, I want this thing from this game, but you do it, you design it.
Yeah,
you
put your
do it.
flavor on it. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. So
yeah. Anywho, getting
so
back
this is
to
about
the
Morkbor.
Morkity board,
Right.
I was surprised that our encounter was not in a bog. Personally, I mean, your fisherman character would have been a hell of a lot more useful in a bog. I feel.
I was super. I fished your fucking ass into the hole. I was super useful. You
That's true.
ungrateful punk. I have a lot of swamp based Morkborg material.
I would imagine. Yeah.
Why don't we get Frog Lord or Bog Wizard on as players, and we'll run through putrescent or something.
Putrescent repugnance.
Yes, that.
I do have that vinyl in the other room.
We can make that happen.
I bet I could even get permission to play the soundtrack while we played.
Oh yeah, but
we could figure out how to do the audio balance. But I mean, in all seriousness, that would be pretty interesting way they kind of cross pollinate the different fields.
I'll talk to. I will talk to my contact in Bog Wizard.
Yeah.
It's not that
It's a tree stump, isn't it? You whisper into it in the bog, and it gets the word.
I don't want to say the guy's name because I don't want to dox. They're popular enough. I don't want to dox anyone against their will.
You don't want to add
anyone. Never.
Yeah. So I will talk to the dude I know in Bog Wizard to see if they want to come and if he or they want to come and play through Swampborg. While we play,
there's a fantastic OSR module that I have just called a Wizard.
Nice.
It was a Kickstarter from Zine Quest like a year or two ago. Charles, yeah, you have Chuckles. That was the one that you played in. Yes. So that's a super good, very grisly, body horror intense. One of the coolest OSR modules I've ever picked up. Well, I'll have to showcase that at some point.
One thing that there were two things that I wish we could have seen during our Morkbor game that we didn't. One, I knew we weren't going to. I knew we weren't going to actually get to fish. And the reason we couldn't fish was not because there was no water, because in the Fisk Borg rules that Adam Voss? I'm going to say Voss. No, I'm not. I'm going to say Vass because it's VASS as opposed to VAAS, like you. Anyway, you can fish dead bodies, and I could have fished in a sea of zombies or whatever. But there's a separate mechanical section to fishing that I think would have been frustrating to try to horn in during a bunch of people's first time playing.
I would have been maybe next time you can use it because I'd be interested to see that fishing mechanic in action.
It's cool. And I'm sure at some point while we're playing, Ian will let me fish.
Sure, yeah.
I mean, the other thing I've yet to see anyone use a scroll or power in Morkborg. I
I
haven't
had
played
one,
in
but
many
it was
games.
really lame.
What was
Like
it?
it was a stare of some kind. It was like I don't know. It seemed really useless to me personally reading it, but I can't tell you off the top of my head.
I know.
The cursed sword itself was, I guess, the power, and
Yeah.
that was fun. Like having Ham swing that thing and possibly decapitate himself, but instead nat 20 and like stab the shit out of the fucking corpsepede. It's a
Awesome.
good time. Yeah.
That, yeah, almost single-handedly slaying that in one hit because of its massive amount of armor damage reduction. He was like 4 points away from just killing it outright. So that was insane.
Yeah.
So definitely disappointed that no one died. So there was a lot to actually surprisingly. So I've run that module a couple of times, and as far as seeing the various rooms, no one really gets. There were a lot of rooms and encounters that you just didn't have the opportunity to pursue. Probably because you fled early, which is the smartest thing to do. It's definitely a kind of a grinder of a. The encounters are designed to basically wear you down pretty heavily if you actually try to go for that MacGuffin. You go for the golden armor, you're really going to have a really bad time. So the golden armor is at the bottom of, if we want to think kind of like 3 levels, is in the bottom left. So if you would have kept going down those stairs from that mirror room, you'd have come to the altar of submission, where there's an offering grate below the big gnarly demon statue, and there's like a cesspit of zombies that from former cultists surrounding the armor of Sir Botterlock. So you could have fished and gotten that out. But all kinds of other things. I guess I don't know. Should we spoil things? Do we say like what are the other encounters that could have happened? Is there some real cool things?
No, I say let's not spoil it because we left so much unseen.
Right.
That another group, if you like what we did, you can grab this module off itch.io and play it yourself and explore all the shit we didn't do. I actually have a question.
Fine.
That it's breaking away from the Morkbor discussion, but something that Charles and I have talked about a lot that we haven't asked either of you. What was your first TTRPG experience? Like, what game did you dive into?
What gave you the hunger?
Because, and this is a debate going on in the space right now of like, why is D&D synonymous with tabletop RPG? We don't all play D&D. And someone's like, oh, we all start there. But we don't. We don't all start with D&D. So maybe you did, but what was your entry into the addiction?
What did you start off with, Chuckles?
Basic White Girl 3.5.
Okay.
I was 3.0, so I learned at
oh my god, Charles, they're children. They're little baby children, Charles.
I don't even know what the fuck they're talking about.
So I mean,
D&D 3.0 and D&D 3.5.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I started on
3.0 and 3.0. Yeah.
So
that is.
I cut my teeth on early, CRPGs, so I was already familiar with AD&D. It's just I didn't actually have a group of humans to play with. So
right,
I
sure.
Lots of RPG books, or started to, but I just didn't have people to play it. So it wasn't until someone actually invited me to 3.0 that then I played.
Sure.
Trying to like raw dog, like read AD&D in high school and like being like, yeah, Thaco. That was definitely kind of challenging without anyone else to like.
My little brother, who's 15 years young, 15 years. He is, how old am I?
I don't know, man.
He's about 17 years younger than me. He was obsessed with Thaco. He loved the idea of Thaco and just throwing out that he understood it.
Yeah. Speaking of like family introducing you to it, it was my cousin for me. Like I wouldn't have been able to run any of that shit on my own. Like he was, my first DM, and like it was when I was on vacation visiting him for an extended period of time, like a week or 2 weeks. So we actually got like a pretty good campaign going, and it was very dope. So
yeah, I'm from Texas, so I had different first with my cousin.
There goes that rating bar.
Sorry,
Yep.
Jonathan.
Yep.
Sorry, Jonathan.
But I
Didn't
mean,
mean
I
to
think
out
it
us.
is a good discussion because I think it does kind of color where you go and what you do in front of that world. And it's so interesting for me because, I was a pretty passionate GM running games. But, when you're kind of stuck in that mentality of what you will really first learn, and I mean, there's so many warts to many of the D&D systems. You kind of got that nexus of crunch and not crunch, that 3.5 straddled, and then started going crazy with Pathfinder and 4 and 5. But it was
We
what
don't need
really
to talk
saved
about
me
4.
was
Oh, we do need to talk about 4.
No, we don't.
Yeah, we
no,
do.
it didn't exist. Nate Treem put
Just because you hate that it went back to its roots doesn't mean it didn't exist.
I don't think
Look,
it
you
went
you
back
shouldn't need 3 books to
It
figure out when you
did.
cast a spell.
D&D started as a wargaming thing, and 4.0 was
Yeah.
trying to be a
Gary
wargaming
Gygax
thing.
set up like battles. Yes, he did. I saw the thing at Gen Con a few years back.
But I mean, I guess for me, it felt like it was trying to be WoW,
It was.
On paper.
Absolutely agree with that.
not chainmail. It just felt like, here's your card with your things. Do it.
I
Yeah.
think that, though, all jokes aside, that felt really comfortable to a lot of people that were new to the
Oh, yeah.
hobby. And I think 4.0's biggest problem was that it was too different. I think if they had, if I think they had said, this is Dungeons and Dragons tactics role playing. If they hadn't made it
Yeah.
the next iteration and they had made it a separate product,
Yeah.
I think it would have done much better from the community that played 3.0 and 3.5.
Well, those board
Um,
games are still going on, basically using that kind of fourth ed
Yeah,
mechanics because it works great for something crunch and dry, but
yeah.
it
I
has
had a
its
friend.
place.
There was a piece of software called Master Plan for 4.0 that worked beautifully, and I had a friend who was one of the best DMs I've ever played with for D&D stuff, who only did 4.0, and he was great, and he made it fun, and then because he had a map on screen that you could interact with and you could visualize, okay, if I use my power, it'll do this, because it was all movement based, right? I used that same software to run the Death Watch game that I ran for 2 years, but I was a lot of jury rigging to make that work.
That was software circa when?
Master Plan was which is different from Master Race. I feel like it's important to point that out.
Yeah.
Master Plan was you see why we're not a comedy podcast anymore?
Did we finally lose the label?
No, it's
Yes!
still there.
Oh,
It's still
okay.
there.
All right. All
So
right.
make with the fucking funnies, Charles.
Yeah, I better start cranking out jokes or we're fucked.
or stop cranking out so we can at least drop the adults only tag.
Hey man,
Um,
I've heard people talking about what a good podcast Cumtown is, and I'm just saying, I
Is
get
that
it.
what is that? I assume that's a Max Booth product. Cumtown. Fuck off.
I only ever listened to the first episode because I just happened across it and was like, the fuck? And it's like, it was unlistenable. So after 2 minutes, I was just like, nope.
And it's
But-
definitely not Max Booth. Max
Yeah,
Booth shows
I
a
don't
delight.
know. It might have been
So
how-
ironically unlistenable. But I don't know.
How much cum was involved in this cum town? Was everyone in the
Well,
town?
when you look at the time,
The buildings
was-
themselves were made
of
yeah,
cum.
dried and carefully layered.
I see.
Okay,
yeah.
I see.
Here,
So it was
just-
the mortar.
I was
holding
the
bricks
architect.
together.
as an
Yeah.
aside, can I say that like I really like the Meatlandia books from Wind and stuff from Tuesday or from oh, now I'm getting all my companies mixed up. But
Yeah, that.
are you familiar with Meatlandia? Anyone?
No.
It's OSR like BX. Anyways, it's like Mad Max kind of meets
Oh
Gonzo.
yeah. I know what you're
But
talking about.
I got it because I thought Meatlandia. I thought it'd be really neat to like have a game where like all the buildings were made of meat and like all the people were made of meat. So like I was very like not disappointed is a bad word, but very much. Yeah, I was disappointed that it wasn't just all like meat golems and like in a meat land.
I have some bad news for you.
What?
We are all meat golems.
Yeah,
Every
right?
one of us in this little chat room right here.
Yeah, it's not inaccurate.
Because I
We're
do have a module called Sinister Red that I also kicked on Kickstarter, which would be fun to run. But there's like a vampire demiplane in which there is a city that is built or an island built on like a sea of coagulated blood.
That's cool, and also may or may not be featured in a recent thing I wrote that will be coming out. So, I there's nothing I love. So, like every single time in the Horus Heresy books that it rains blood somewhere because like the warp is fucking around, I start like doing Slayer riffs with my mouth for raining blood. You know, it happens more than a few times in Horus Heresy.
It happens
probably 8 or 9 or 10 out of the.
They probably have an insurance plan in 40K that's specifically for like, did your house get stained with? You don't have a house, but you know
need
what I mean.
Flood coverage and blood coverage.
Yeah, flood coverage.
Yeah.
Are you all familiar with the Bog Life?
Now I'm imagining, by the way, that Morkbor has its share of raining blood. Is that something that happens in the game?
I mean, I'm pretty sure that's one
it.
of the prophecies that can happen.
Yeah, it happens once. I think it keeps happening once it happens, but are you familiar with Low Life?
I don't think so.
Low Life is a game that takes place after the apocalypse. The idea is that like, okay, so what survives the nuclear fallout? Oh, mutated roachmen and weird interdimensional monster called Smelves, which are elves with big noses. and there's like flymen and everyone eats poop and lives in trash.
Great.
So Meatlandia made me think of that.
Yeah. So it's like Fallout, but gutter
More
Fallout.
Poop.
Yeah.
More poop related.
Yeah.
We've definitely kind of a far away from Morkborg.
Not that far. Rain and Blood, Morkborg. I'm gonna make that prophecy happen by hook or by crook.
So Ian and I have two very different philosophies about how misery should happen in Morkborg. Ian feels that like if you're playing a one shot, you don't need the prophecies. Like that's a bit much to add on top of everything. Whereas my opinion is, if you're doing a one shot,
they all happen at once.
Cram as much prophecies, cram as many of the miseries as possible. Hello, Kitty. Cram as many of the prophecies as you can in. And in fact, when we played Vast Grim, Brian? Yeah, Brian. Brian? Yes.
Brian Collin.
Yes, thank you. Brian asked us, like, okay, well, do you guys want to have these? And I was like, yeah, we'll have a few minutes. Let's go. And I think we triggered 3 of the prophecies in a 2-hour session.
So close to all 4, man. Like
it's 7.
Oh, well, not even halfway there.
Yeah.
Lame.
Once you reach the 7th, the world ends.
What's that?
Should have tried harder.
I know.
Yeah, I agree.
You can only trigger 1 a day, and we just didn't sleep enough, I guess. It's just not riveting gameplay. I take a power nap.
I would assume that sleep itself in Morkborg would be a hazardous, state of affairs.
It can be. Morkborg, for everything what people say about it's less grimdark than some other shit that I have on my shelf. And some other shit that I write.
Has anyone ever done a TTRPG that is based on like the Satanic Panic? Like what they thought D&D actually was?
Discourse?
Okay.
Which one are you pulling out? Which one?
This is Darkly Through the Labyrinth. It is specifically in the 1980s, a moral panic swept the United States. Rumors swirled of a vast underground network of devil worshippers. Rings of Satan. So the idea of this game is that all of those rumors were true, but there's nothing supernatural about them. So
I love
you play FBI agents hunting down satanic cults.
Lame. Okay.
But none of them are like none of the cults are. There's no actual demons.
Right.
It's just people kidnapping kids.
Yeah.
So I've got one that I kicked called Discourse #1, Off to the Races, and it takes place based on it's powered by the apocalypse, but it's based off of like Dungeon Master, like the disappearance of Dallas Egbert III.
Mm-hmm.
So you play. So it's a GM-less game where you're playing as 3 different characters at a table. One is a GM who is hired by the PI to run a game, but isn't really a good GM and doesn't really know what they're doing. So they randomly buy, and you actually roll for what book you randomly buy from the game store, and you try to like fake run a game and pretend like you know what you're doing, while you have a player who's kind of fulfilling the role of like the ensnared, vulnerable kid, and then you've got a PI who's trying to like learn about how occults and terrible D&D is. So it's a really weird meta game. So it's pretty cool.
That does sound cool. Yeah, in the Satanist community, those I think in particular there was one video that was widely distributed to police departments called like FBI cult awareness or something like that. You can just Google it, and it's like solid gold bullshit. It is some straight up like what's that site called?
Tracks.
Yeah. Oh yeah. By the way, I have been handed those in person in real life when I lived in Oklahoma because I lived way too close to Oral Roberts University and worked at the Borders right across the street from it. But yeah.
We were harassed by them at the last place I lived.
Yeah, those fucking people, man.
They came to our house twice. This woman in her daughter came to my house to spread the good news of Jesus, and I said, "No, we're Jewish." And
how'd she react to that?
She left, and then she came back a few weeks later with a special pamphlet about why Jews specifically should convert.
Of course,
and she kept trying to hand it to me, and I refused to take it, obviously, because that's like as insulting as you could possibly be.
Yeah, it really is.
And then after I did that, she continuously left. I would say like once every 2 or 3 weeks, she would leave a Jack Chick track, like tucked into my door.
If I could, if it took 2 awkward encounters with a woman to get a collection of those tracks like delivered to my doorstep, I might be willing to put up with it because
it made me feel unsafe for my family, though.
Okay, that's fair. That's
like
fair.
I'm a Jew living in Texas. I did not feel like I was like safe.
And shit in Austin is not great now.
No.
It's because as a side note, hopefully making it a little more optimistic. Has everyone here read Ogloff, the webcomic?
Oh yeah, I have 2 of them. Charles Bernard, you will love Ogloff.
The Sithrak Jack Chick.
Oh my god, they're amazing. Hold on, I am messaging Charles the link right now. Charles, basically what happened is this person was like, I'm going to make a sexy sex comic, and then they did 2 things. They're like, instead, I'm going to make a super funny sex comic. And
wait,
they are
is this
brilliant.
The one that used to be called the Thin H Line or whatever?
No, it's always been called Ogloff.
Okay,
and
I'm thinking of one from way the fuck back.
No, it's not. I wouldn't say it's recent, but it's more recent. I will say, in my opinion, you should just go back to the beginning and start going through the archive.
I will.
It is.
That's what I did with Achewood, and I became hooked. And then when Chris
it is one of the funniest
apart,
and sexiest comics around. and Ian is right. They're like Sithrak Jack Chick tracks.
There's an angry
Sithrak
evil.
Hates you.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
So I think in summation, I can speak for all of us when I say this was Morkbor was a fun game to run.
I had a blast. In particular, because of the 3 of you, I think that's what really put like the most fun into it. Is
but Morkborg
is awesome.
The listeners don't have the 3 of us, Charles.
Oh, they've got their own 3 of us. So,
Nah, there are no
grab
other
your
3 of us.
friends and play some Morkbor because you'll have fucking fun like we did.
It's
But-
good.
It
Yes.
is good. Thank you, Chuckles.
It's got the Chuckles seal of approval. It's weird to hear someone else called Chuckles. Like, usually when people are like, trying to talk shit, that's what they call a Charles.
Is it? I'm saying it with affection.
You're definitely saying it with affection, but I definitely heard people like, "Okay, Chuckles."
Yeah.
It's like, what? You
Cadenus.
I always think whenever I hear Chuckles, I always think of someone saying, "Hey, chuckle fuck," or and then
Well, I'm not gonna try to fight any of you guys. If you want to find the podcast, which is this thing that you're consuming now, you found us. But
Congratulations.
if you want to like follow
Gold
us, you
star.
can find us on Twitter at OneMoncast. You can find our game company, Madness Heart Games, at MHP_games. And you can find us and all of the books we publish, which include my books and Charles's books, at madnessheart.press.
And if you're looking for me on the Tinder
On
internet,
Tinder?
no, not Tinder, Tender.
On Grindr?
Yeah. I love
Nice.
Subway sandwiches. So Grinder, that's what that is, right? I get a foot long through that. But
Yes, you can.
Yeah.
yes, I do. Go to Twitter actually instead of Grinder, and you can find me at CRBernard. Also, you can go to tinyurl.com/Charles R. Bernard, all lowercase, and it's the big annotated list of all my stuff in anthologies and magazines and stuff like that. So, including my debut novel, which as of tomorrow is 1 year old, through Madness Heart Press. It's the 1 year anniversary of A Baptism for the Dead. So, do me and yourself a favor and go read that shit. And yeah, who wants to go next? Ian, if the fine people of the internet want to find you, where do they go?
Some of these links here below. I still need to get my social media in order because the Mental Sundries was supposed to be when I was running a psychology blog, and that was going to be my Twitter for that. And so it was simple. It was hooked up with my email. So also a little bit of like kind of Jungian, some left weird deep tunnel stuff is kind of what I was really into grad school. So at some point I should make a more gamer centric tag. But anywho, if you have a product that you'd like us to review, like us to do a live test stuff, or if you'd like to be a guest player, feel free to contact us, and we would love to have you be part of the show. So yeah, don't forget to include us. And then last but not least,
well, if you are, Chuckles, do you want to plug yourself before I go?
Yeah, sure. I'm Mr. Bashke on most social medias. That's PASCHKE. Yeah, I don't know how Twitter works.
No one does.
And if you are looking for me, my whole flavor, you can find me on Twitter at Kaiju Poet, or you can find all of my books at www.kaijupoet.com. It links to like Amazon and Godless. So like I'm not saying buy my books from my site. Like go to my site and it'll link to all the other books. Hello Beans. She's a naughty girl. I just released a book. I told you about this book last week. Maybe you didn't hear me. Maybe you didn't go guide the book. Guide the book? Man, I'm tired. Born Faith. It's out now. It's about anti-Semitism and evangelical Christianity with graphic body horror and giant monsters. Go buy it and read it.
Speaking of Jack fucking chick. Yeah.
The book is, or the antagonist of that book is based on one Kenneth Copeland.
Dude with a head that looks so much like a jack-o'-lantern. I swear, like
a Robin one though.
He was
like a sagging, rotting
COVID-19.
Yeah, he's the one that tried to blow away COVID-19. He's a
which, by the way,
shit.
makes an excellent ministry track. They did a track that samples that guy and has the death toll going up in the background too. Fucking aces. So yeah.
So go buy my book.
And listen to ministry.
Yeah, and listen to buy my book while listening to ministry. That'd be dope.
Yeah.
Friends, thank you so much for joining us on this consensual journey we call Wandering Monster. I have been John Baldisberger.
I've been Charles R. Bernard.
Ian Servas.
Charles Paschke.
And we will be back next week. We'll be doing Monday for the next couple of weeks, just because we have some out of town stuff to take care of. But so we'll see you in 1 week. Until then, stay safe, but stay scared.